Hello, everyone. Welcome to Soul Wellness, a workshop for mothers. My name is Catherine O'Coin. I'm a registered therapeutic counselor.
I am Laurel Garner. Welcome, everyone. I am a holistic nutritionist. Thanks for joining us today.
And first, we just like to acknowledge what a difficult time this is for mothers in the middle of a worldwide pandemic. Being a mother is challenging at any point, but it's especially challenging. And my heart goes out to mothers everywhere with what you're dealing with. Kids at home, maybe working from home, maybe still working outside of the home or not working, whatever the situation is that you're in. We know it's tough. Laurel and I have our challenges too as working mothers right now. Yeah, our heart goes out to you. This is a hard time. And we hope what we have to offer today will be helpful for you to get through this.
Thank you, Catherine, for that acknowledgement. So just to bring ourselves into the workshop and into our bodies so we can get the most of the information that Catherine and I are going to offer, I'm just going to ask us all to do a quick meditation. That's the way we start all of our workshops. So find a comfortable seated position or lying down if you prefer, and we're all going to close our eyes. Just feeling where the breath is in the body. No judgments. And then bringing your hands to your belly. And trying to bring the breath into the belly. So in through the nose if you're able. And out through the nose. Feeling the belly rising with the breath. Doing 2 more breaths like that. In through the nose. And out through the nose. Really trying to focus the breath into the belly button. And then we're going to do 2 breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. And slowly as you're ready, opening your eyes.
Thank you, Laurel. That was so nice and grounding. Nice way to get us started. All right, so I am going to bring up Laurel's presentation here, and she's going to get us started.
Thank you very much, Catherine. So Catherine always reminds people to have a pen and paper ready, or your journal, just if you feel like taking notes. It's a great idea so we can, so you can write down things that are most meaningful to you. So a little disclaimer for both Catherine and I, this information is for information purposes only and should not be used to replace any specialized training and professional judgment of healthcare practitioners or mental health care professionals. Please, if you need support, reach out. If you don't know where to get help, if you need it, contact Catherine or myself and we can connect you with the resources that you need for the services that you need. We're here for you. So I'm going to start with my why, of why I'm here, why mental health is important, why I have a passion for working with moms. As Catherine said, both of us are moms. I have 2 little boys, ages 2 and 4. They're very busy. And my first experience where I was able to, where I actually admitted that I had anxiety for a long time, probably my whole life, is after my son was born. He's coming up to his birthday almost 5 years ago. And I ended up with postpartum psychosis and extreme anxiety, experiencing panic attacks multiple times a day, probably 10 or 20 panic attacks a day, and was actually hospitalized in the psych ward for about 3 weeks. And that was a wake-up call to me that, yes, I have had anxiety. Yes, I have had panic attacks, and this is something that I couldn't ignore anymore. I'm going to share a little bit more of this story that I do share at most of the workshops, because something has shifted in the world right now, and I've had to reevaluate my self-care. And I share this with you because I think that mental health and self-care, if you struggle with mental health, it's always going to change depending on what's going on in your life. And right now, I'm exhausted, as every parent is. You know, life is busy, the kids are busy. But what has shifted is the anxiety and the stress that I feel in the world. And I try to protect myself with a bubble and doing my meditation. But the reality is I feel there is, as my husband says, is palpable, like this anxiety, the stress in the world right now. And I have had to really tap into my self-care tools to maintain my own anxiety at this point, because I have noticed I wake up and for no other reason than what I can identify with as the world situation right now, I feel anxious. And so whatever those tools are for you that you know, whatever tools work for you today, just remember that it could change in time, and you may need more support, you may need more tools. And as I go through my my slides, I'll let you know little things that I'm doing differently right now to support myself, little extra things that I've added in, because more than ever in the last month, I've really had to tap into every tool I have in my tool belt to make sure that I'm well. So that's my story. And now to head into the meat of my workshop, or my part of the presentation. Only you know what's right for you. I know as a nutritionist, I have my beliefs of what's right for me, but I'm never going to tell anyone what's right for them. So whether it's keto or high protein or vegan or paleo, I'm never going to tell you what's right for you. All I'm going to do is help you listen to your body and learn to listen to your body again if you've forgotten how to listen, and provide you with the tools to navigate what is going to be best for your body. So I just like to share that, you know, I have ways that I eat that's right for me. I used to be vegetarian, now I'm not. And that's because it didn't work for me anymore. And I had to listen to my body and say, no, actually right now, with the demands that I have on my body, I need to eat protein coming from an animal source. And that may change in 5, 10 years, or even 2 years. But right now, I'm listening to my body, and that's what I need from my body. So I hope you can learn to do that too. Today, I'm going to focus on the gut and the brain connection. So this is a funny little cartoon that just really puts it in perspective. Look, I know this sounds crazy, baby, but I feel like we have a real connection here. And that's the gut, the intestines, the stomach, the whole digestive system talking to the brain. And the brain says, they always say, trust your gut feelings. The topics I'm going to cover today is, what is the gut flora? So the microbiome, also known as the microbiome, our digestive tract. I just do say gut flora because that's simple, it's not scientific. But if you go scientific, it's called the microbiome. What are we doing with our guts? How do our guts influence our brain, our mood, our happiness, and our ability to function as happy human beings and happy mothers? And what can you do about this gut-brain connection, and how can you apply this to your life? What is the gut flora? So the gut flora is our community of bacteria that resides in our stomach and intestines. You can think of it like your garden. So in your garden, there's always going to be weeds. Everyone has bad or pathogenic gut flora, but the goal is to have just a little bit, it's just hanging out there, but really there's no space for it to grow because you have so many beautiful flowers. You have a variety of beautiful flowers, which is your good gut flora or your helpful gut flora. So having that balance in your garden, having lots of variety in your garden is super important. The other thing that's important for our garden, that is our gut, our intestines, and our stomach, is to have the right environment. So thinking that your garden, your flowers are going to flourish the best if you have fertilizer, if you have enough water, but not too much water. So all those things are talking about the environment of our body. And I'll talk about the things that can affect the gut flora, but always come back to that, that image that works for me, hopefully it works for you, of the garden of our gut flora and how we can maintain the balance of good and bad bacteria in your gut. So the good bacteria's jobs are digestion and absorption of food and nutrients. So this is breaking down your food, getting rid of what we don't need, absorbing what we do need, fighting off illness and harmful bacteria. So that is something that's huge right now. So this applies to bacteria, viruses. 70% or more of our immune system is actually in our gut. So if our gut isn't healthy, we are not able to function at our full immune potential. So this is why it's even more important right now to really think about what is going on in our gut. It helps maintain a healthy weight, and it influences the brain function by regulating the production of neurotransmitters. So if this sounds a little bit sciencey, don't worry. I will explain it in as plain terms as possible. I'll go into what neurotransmitters are, but just knowing that right now, all you need to know is the good bacteria changes how your brain functions. So we'll get back to that a little bit more. What are we doing to our guts? So there's lots of things that affect that good microbiome in our gut, the good bacteria versus the bad bacteria. One of the things that's real for moms, for parents, for, I would say, most people in society, people that are working too much, entrepreneurs, there is a high level of stress. And what stress does is stress produces toxins that are harmful to our gut flora. So right now in the world, there's a high level of stress. I can guarantee from my own knowledge, I'm not a scientist, but I would be pretty sure in saying that most people's stress levels are higher. Thus, we are producing toxins that are affecting that gut flora that we need to protect ourselves from getting sick. So this is so important right now, but also just as a mom, knowing that when our levels of stress are higher, our gut isn't able to function optimally to protect us from bacteria, from viruses. Our immune system isn't functioning as well as it can. The other thing that I just like to bring into here is that sugar and other chemicals in our food and in our environment also influence our gut flora. So if you consume sugar, you're actually not only feeding the bad bacteria, so you give them some sugar and they're like, we can have a party. And they feed on that, and they actually are really smart. That bad bacteria asks for more sugar when it wants to grow more. If there's some space and there's not enough good bacteria taking up that space, the bad bacteria is like, hey, we have another room in the gut. We're going to take over. Give me more sugar because that's what I need. And so when we have those sugar cravings, sometimes it's our guts, those bad bacteria asking for that sugar so they can have a party, which we don't want them to do. So keeping that in mind when we're choosing foods, still have that chocolate cake sometime. Just know that eat it with love and enjoy it. And maybe take some extra vitamin C or have an orange with your chocolate cake. Stress that I'm talking about can be either real or perceived stress. So just know that our body's reaction to real stress, like worrying about money to pay for groceries because we have less incoming money, or thinking about a message that you read on Instagram that causes you anxiety or stress. Our body reacts the same way to those real or perceived stresses. So just keep that in mind when you're flipping through Instagram or Facebook and you feel yourself getting a bit more anxious or stressed. Antibiotics in food and environment also cause an imbalance in the gut flora, and I'm not going to go into that a lot because I could talk about it a lot, the use of antibiotics. There's a time and a place, use them if you need them, but know that they do influence your gut flora, and if you do need them, make sure you've got a good, strong probiotic. So what does this have to do with my brain? So I told you that I'd come back to neurotransmitters. So I'm going to talk about which neurotransmitters are most common. There's lots, but I'm going to talk about the most common ones that you may be familiar with. So serotonin is our happy hormone. It makes us feel good. It's what we feel after we have an amazing date with our partner, or some really great sex, or an amazing workout. That's all serotonin that is making us feel that good. It also regulates things like sleep, mood, relaxation, and appetite. So if we don't have enough serotonin, we're not going to sleep well, we're not going to be in a good mood, we're not going to feel relaxed, we're not going to have a great appetite, or we're going to eat too much. That's also can happen with serotonin. 90 to 95% of serotonin is produced in the gut by the gut bacteria, not in the brain. And so when you think about 90 to 95%, that's huge. And so it's not our brain that needs to produce that hormone to make us feel better. We don't need to fix our brain. We need to fix our gut. We need to work on the gut so the gut can do its job of producing all that serotonin so we can feel the best we can feel. 5-HTP is another one that you may or may not have heard of. It's a supplement in a supplement store, but it also is something that we produce in our body. Also produced in the intestines, in our guts. It moves food through the digestive system, so it's responsible for the squeezing of the intestines to move through food through the intestines. If we don't have enough 5-HTP, that system is not going to happen and our food's going to get stuck in the intestines. 5-HTP is also a precursor to serotonin, which we know makes us feel good. So the equation is simple. More 5-HTP, more serotonin, more happiness. The gut-brain highway is something that, when I talk about the gut-brain connection, another way to think of it is the gut-brain highway. If our gut bacteria is not happy, we're not producing the necessary neurotransmitters. If we don't have enough neurotransmitters, we don't function at our best. We're not being the best partners, the best parents, the best friends. We don't feel our best and we don't look our best. And this isn't to have unrealistic expectations for yourself, but knowing that you can feel better and you have some choice of feeling better. And I'm going to give you tools to feel the best you can feel, and knowing that there's a lot you can do to increase these neurotransmitters in our guts to influence our brain. One more neurotransmitter that I like to talk about is GABA. So GABA, again, is a supplement you can get in a store, in a supplement store, but we also produce this in our body. It's responsible for feelings of calm and inhibiting the nerve transmission to the brain. So I like to describe it, so we have GABA producing all the time. If we have a stress response, GABA goes in and actually blocks the stress response from getting to the site where you'd feel that stress. That's what we want. If we don't have enough GABA, the body sends that stress message, it gets to the receptor site, and we feel stress. Now, coffee reduces the amount of GABA in your body. Stress reduces the amount of GABA in your body, or the amount of GABA available to deal with that receptor site. It's the same feeling that if you've drinking too much coffee or had too much energy drinks, it's the same feeling as not having enough GABA. And I'm pretty sure most of us has had that feeling of like, I'm so sleep deprived, I need to have a coffee, but then we feel really anxious because we've had too much coffee and we're already exhausted. And so that feeling could be two things. You could have actually had too much coffee and you're reacting from the coffee, or it could be that you don't have enough GABA. So that's the same feeling that you have in your body. The good thing is you're in control. So this is not to put pressure on you, but to empower you, that you have a choice. Diet is the most important determinant in shaping the composition, diversity, and richness of the gut flora. So you can change the foods that you're putting into your body, or tweak the foods that you're putting into your body to support the gut-brain connection. Mindfulness practices can also reduce the stress effect on the gut. So when we are more in our body, we are able to reduce the effect that the stress has on our gut. Here's the tools. So if you want to take notes at this point, we also will have available handouts with some tools for you to have ready at your fingertips. So just like we did at the beginning, breathing. The important thing with breathing is that you're not breathing into your chest, but you're breathing into your stomach. When we breathe into our chest, that is the stress response breath. If you ever had an anxiety attack or a panic attack, the breath is usually in the chest and it's short. If you breathe into the stomach, you're activating the relaxation system, and you're able to, the body responds with being able to shift into that relaxation mode rather than the fight or flight stress mode. Sleep, 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 sleep. It's hard to do as parents. We don't often get enough, but if you can nap, sleep is giving you a tool to be able to cope better. So even when our lives are so busy and we have so many demands on us, try your best to get sleep, and don't be more superhuman than you have to be. Sleep is a crucial tool for organizing our brains to what happened to the day. Our brain does a systematic organization, so it gets rid of what we don't need and keeps what we do. Our bodies detoxify, get rid of all those stress hormones that we don't need. So it's a crucial, important part of making sure you're functioning at your best. Eating when relaxed and not stressed. Often that can be challenging with children. If you have 1 or 2 or 5 children at the dinner table, it can be noisy and stressful. Our tool in our house is, if dinner time is going to be very stressful, or it has been very stressful for a number of nights, more stressful than normal, my husband and I will choose to eat on our own. So I do value dinner time together as a family, and I think it's crucial for wellness as a family. But there are times when I choose to eat later with my husband only, not with the kids. We'll sit down with the kids, or one of us will sit down with the kids if there's lots to do around the house. But we'll enjoy that dinner time after the boys go to bed. And that means that we're eating later, which isn't ideal for digestion or absorption or weight loss. But we make that conscious choice to eat later, because if I'm stressed, I'm not going to absorb the nutrients I need anyways. So I might as well do the best and just eat later, maybe have a little bit of a lighter meal, or go for a short walk after dinner. Take turns with you and your partner, taking 5 minutes to go around the block. It'll help you digest your food if you are eating later. Or if you're eating with your family, taking that breath before you eat. Tell your body, the food is coming, it's okay, I'm not running from a tiger, I can absorb these nutrients. Eating smaller meals and snacks when stress is higher. So if you are feeling the effects of the world situation right now, You can help yourself by just eating smaller meals, because smaller meals are easier for your body to absorb when stress is high. Small meals and snacks also help you absorb the nutrients, to keep your blood sugar balanced throughout the day. So when you get super hungry and you have a blood sugar crash, which I'm sure everyone has experienced, your body fires a stress response because it wonders why you're not getting food. So if you're at the point where you're starving and hangry, which we all know is a real thing, your body has already probably fired a stress response. So you're increasing your stress level simply by not giving your body food. So just having a snack available, we do it for our kids, so we should do it for ourselves too. Avoiding raw in times of stress, because raw foods are harder to digest. So perfect example of this, right now, I'm like, oh, salad's great. I love salads, and it's getting warmer. I think it was about a week ago. It was a beautiful sunny day, and I was like, sweet, I'm gonna have a salad because it's beautiful and that's what I think I want. Didn't go well. I got cramps, I got gas, and it wasn't digested very well because my stress is higher right now. So it didn't work for me. So I'm going back to like cooked vegetables, soups, broth, even though it's spring, summer, and sometimes it's really warm, my body can't deal with raw right now because of the increased stress in my life. Protein with every snack and meal, that goes back to keeping your blood sugar level. Blood sugar level, it keeps us happy and not hangry, and keeps our body from firing that stress response. Eating foods like legumes, so your chickpeas, your lentils, quinoa, all those vegetarian-based proteins, not that you have to be vegetarian, but they are super high in B vitamins, which help with stress and anxiety, folate and zinc, and other minerals that have been shown to positively affect mood and mental health. Legumes are also high in magnesium, and magnesium is something we need more of when we are stressed. If you want more ideas on magnesium foods, just send me a message and I can always provide you a big long list. Eating fermented foods, there's a big craze with kombucha, sauerkraut. The knowledge is getting out there that fermented foods are good for us. They support our good gut flora. If they feel good, if you like them, eat them. If they don't feel good, if you don't like them, don't worry about it. There's other ways you can support your good gut flora, but try them, see, and try them in different ways. Try them from different companies. Hopefully you'll find one that you like, and if you can't, let me know and I'll help you find something else that you can do to support. Avoiding natural sweetener or artificial sweeteners, and using natural sweeteners such as coconut sugar, maple syrup, or honey in moderation. So again, it goes back to feeding that gut flora. If we're putting in a bunch of sugar and sweets, it's just feeding that bad bacteria. I am a sweetaholic. Right now I'm eating way more candy. I love candy, it's my weakness, like the gummy candy. I'm eating more than I usually do. And that's fine. I just know that it's supporting my mental health in a different way that's not supporting the good gut flora in my gut. And I do other things like extra supplements, extra water, extra sauerkraut to helpfully retain that balance. But I do love my sweets, and I tend to eat sweets when I'm stressed. So more tools for you: eating foods directly from the earth or as close to the source as possible. Just pick up the label of the box. If it's a packaged food, pick up the label, read it. If you don't know half the ingredients and you still want to eat it, great, go for it. Eat it with love. If you read the ingredients and you don't want to eat it because you don't know what they are, great. That's often how it works for me. If I want to eat something and I know it's not ideal ingredients, I just don't read the ingredients and I eat it with love. And that is okay too. But trying to get your food as close to the source as possible. So your fruits, your vegetables, your legumes, your animal-based proteins. Doesn't all have to be organic, just trying to get quality sourced foods that are close to the source. Reducing toxic load in foods and environments. So that's just watching, are you using a ton of chemicals in your home for cleaning? Sometimes it's necessary, like right now it may be more necessary, Most of the time, I don't recommend it. Checking your personal hygiene routine, how many chemicals are getting into your body that way, because all these chemicals are increasing the load on our body, which makes it harder for our bodies to cope with stress. This comes down to not the food tools, but the other tools. And Catherine is going to go into this in a lot more depth, but having reasonable expectations for yourself, exercising, yoga, and don't take on more than you can handle. So being honest with yourself, with your partner, with the people in your life. Say no if you need to, and it's okay to ask for help. These are some more take-home tools, some really specific things. So instead of having a cold salad, cook some spinach with an egg or blend your greens in a smoothie. If you want a salad, add warm cooked vegetables on top. Ginger, garlic, and turmeric are all warming spices that can turn a cold meal or a cooling meal into a warming meal. So in my smoothies now, because I'm loving my green smoothies, I make sure I have warm liquid in there so the smoothie is never ice cold. And I warm frozen fruits if I'm putting in frozen fruits. And I always put garlic and turmeric, or not garlic, ginger and turmeric in my smoothies. I have done garlic for immunity. It's not the nicest you can do it, but it does have a little bit of a bite to it. Protein snacks can be apples dipped in nut butter, veggies and hummus, or cashew hummus. Nutty fat bombs. I have a recipe on my website under recipes for nutty fat bombs. Energy balls, hemp seeds, boiled egg, and roasted chickpeas. All things I can provide you recipes with if you need. Lightly steamed vegetables rather than raw in times of stress. Do not drink more than half a cup of liquid with meals. This is basic digestive tips. Often people are drinking a lot of fluid with their meal or right before their meal, and it affects the enzymes needed for digestion. So this is just kind of goes back to something I tell everyone just for digestive wellness, to limit the amount of fluid. So drinking a big glass of water when you get home from work before you start cooking dinner is a good idea, or waiting until, you know, right before you go to bed to have that big glass of water. Listen to your body. It knows what's best for you and what doesn't work for you. If something I say doesn't work for you, doesn't mean that you have to do it just because I'm a nutritionist. I don't know your body and I don't know what's best. So just listen to your body. It'll tell you. Chew your food well, eat slowly. Your stomach does not have teeth. Eat with consciousness and mindfulness, and eat in the company of others or in a relaxed environment. In conclusion, eat clean foods, keep moving, and don't stress. Take some breaths. Your brain and your body will thank you. Fall in love with taking care of you. Initial consultations are available online at this time if you choose. Face-to-face will be available very soon in the future, I hope. Follow-up consultations are also available. I have all my services listed on at the clinic website where I work. I have a few different follow-up options if you're looking for more than 30-minute follow-up at this point. Other services can include menu building, grocery shopping. Obviously not right now, we won't be grocery shopping together, but if you need to help you build a grocery list and meal plan, we can totally do that all online. Small or large group online trainings at this point, but that's something that I do a lot of in person as well when we're able to do those large gatherings again. You can call me, send me a text, send me an email if you have any questions. And the clinic website is there, pentictonphysiotherapy.com. It's Penticton Physiotherapy and IMS clinic right downtown. That is currently closed, but all appointments can be booked through the website, the online appointments, and you'll see all your options there. It's a great tool through Jane app. where we can do all our appointments online and everything will be sent just like it was a face-to-face. Thank you so much for your time, and I will pass it over to Catherine.
Right. Thank you so much, Laurel. That was such great information. I love the idea of eating with love, no matter what you're eating. And okay, so I will just switch us over. Okay, here we go. So again, I'm Catherine O'Coin. I'm a registered therapeutic counselor. I specialize in working with mothers. And right now I'm working only online as well. And my most important training ground is my own experience as a mother. I have two very energetic, very sweet and loving and wonderful little boys. They are 7 and almost 4. So they keep me learning and keep me active all the time. So a little bit about my own mental health story. So there is a history of postpartum depression and anxiety in my family. I was fortunate that because of the tools I've learned, I did not experience that as a new mother, but I do have a history of just general depression and anxiety. I experienced that throughout my teens and my 20s. And as tough as that was, I am now really grateful for that experience because it set me on a completely different path in my life. And I went on a path of personal growth and spiritual growth. And it has completely changed the trajectory of my life and quite different from the rest of my family to be on this path and then eventually becoming a counselor. So I'm grateful for that. I see the benefit in what I went through. And there's lots of different tools that I used to help heal myself, and many of those I'll be talking about today. And diet and nutrition and stress management were really important tools for me. So everything that Laurel was talking about in her presentation, super important stuff. So, all right. Moving on here. So these are the main points I'm going to talk about today. So first one, it takes a village, the importance of connection and community. Managing your big emotions. Emotions are high, especially right now, given this global pandemic. Your children's mental health. So we're always really concerned, especially if you have a history or if you're dealing with mental illness, anxiety, depression, anything else. There's always the concern, is it going to be passed on to our children? So I'm going to talk a bit about that. And then some practical daily strategies for better mental wellness. So it takes a village. We were never meant to do it alone as mothers. Never in the history of humanity, in no other culture on this earth, were mothers ever so isolated as we are now. And I'm speaking in general. And we are even more isolated given the current world circumstances right now. Many of us are literally self-isolating in our homes with our children, maybe with a partner home, maybe not, but we are super isolated. So that is making things especially rough because we need support both in emotional and practical ways. So unfortunately, I can't give you support in practical ways. I wish I could come in your home and do your dishes or give you a break so you could take a nap, but I can't do that right now. But what I will be focusing on is emotional support and how you can get that right now and when things go back to normal in the world. So you can't do it alone and be emotionally healthy. So this is something a lot of people aren't aware of, that it's a big underlying cause of mental health issues when we are isolated. And it's a protective factor when you have a strong support system. So in the case of new moms, I work with a lot of new moms who are dealing with postpartum depression and anxiety, even pregnancy and into new motherhood. And often they do not have a strong support system. They feel like they're on their own. So in cultures where mothers are supported, have a really strong support system, there's community, there's their village there to support them in both practical and emotional ways, then often there are no issues with postpartum depression or anxiety. So in our modern Western society, independence is overly valued. It's just not how we're wired to be independent. It causes us to feel lonely, overwhelmed, exhausted, and it can lead to depression and anxiety. And often we find ourselves saying things like, I don't need help, I can handle it, I'm okay, I've got it. And we feel like we're being strong, we're being independent. And maybe inside, as we're saying these things, there's a part of us that's like, no, please help me. I need help. I need support. You might be aware of that. You might not even be aware of it. But we all need support. It is how we're wired. All right, so there's independence, so trying to do it all on our own, and then there's codependence, and this is another kind of common dynamic, is when you rely a lot on one other person, usually your partner, but not necessarily. It could be your mother or even your child or, you know, one close friend, but we have one person in our life who is our main support person, okay? And this puts a lot of pressure on that relationship. So this is not how we're wired either, to depend entirely for emotional or practical support on one person. How we are wired is for interdependence, connection as part of a community. So we have a whole community of different people, a whole bunch of different people that we rely on in different ways, for different reasons. We have different kinds of relationships with them, you know, and that can include your partner, and that can include your mother and your children. Well, not so much relying on your children, but, you know, it's a dynamic of reliance on a whole range of different people. And this is often a foreign idea for many of us in Western culture, where independence or even codependence are kind of the cultural expectation. So broadening who we turn to for support, and knowing that it's okay, that we need it. We are wired to need support. We are not wired to do it all on our own. So what we need to do is ask for help, and I know that's a hard one. I've been there. And we need to let ourselves receive help. So when someone offers to help, instead of saying, "Oh no, thank you, I'm okay," say, "Yes, I would love that. Thank you so much," especially at this time. Like if you're stuck at home and someone offers to bring you groceries, say, "Yes, please." And you know, appreciate them for helping you, instead of kind of feeling like uncomfortable or bad about asking for help, because oftentimes it makes people feel good to help others. So and of course, you know, part of this equation of interdependence is giving help, giving in return when you can. So I always emphasize, if you are a new mom, or even if you have very small children, this is not the time to be out there and volunteering and giving so much of yourself, because your priority has to be your child or children. You're giving so much to them. So when you're able to, when you have the energy, when you feel like there's something inside for you to give, it's a wonderful thing to give support out there in the world, to family, friends, community. but just be aware of what you actually have to give without overtaxing yourself. So of course, we are in an unprecedented time right now, and we can't be out in the world being interdependent and connecting in the way that we're meant to. So we have to find creative ways to do that. So here's a list of ideas. And I'd encourage you not to overwhelm yourself by trying to take on too many new things. Choose one or two of these ideas that really resonate for you, and focus on those if you're trying to increase the connection in your life. So connect online regularly. If you're an extrovert and you're really struggling with not being out in the world as much as you're used to, do it daily. So reach out, phone, FaceTime, whatever form of online connection you prefer. Do it regularly. Ask for help and let yourself receive it. So again, asking for help in practical ways most of the time isn't possible right now, unfortunately. But emotional support is huge. Okay. And if you're able to fill your cup more emotionally, it will give you that much energy to take care of your practical needs too. So reach out, let people know how you're really doing. People that you trust, of course, not random strangers you're going to be vulnerable with, but people that you trust to, have your best interests in mind. Let them know if you're struggling. It can be such a relief to share and not feel alone right now. And honor yourself and your needs. This gives you energy and strength. Take some you time whenever you possibly can. So I totally get how hard this is when most of us have our children at home like all the time now. But if your partner is around and you can just take even 5 minutes to take a few deep breaths or do a short meditation or scream into your pillow, give yourself the gift of that time. Find ways to prioritize it because it's really important. And then if things are feeling really tough, if these other ideas I'm giving you just aren't enough right now, there is absolutely zero shame in reaching out for professional support. And one fortunate thing about this time we're in right now is so much is going online. So no matter where you live, you can access online resources, supports. Most therapists are doing online sessions. There's, online meditations. There's just so much online. So take advantage of that. And it can really make a difference to how you're feeling right now. So again, don't overwhelm yourself with too much. Take a moment, jot down in your journal 1 or 2 things you're going to focus on to help you feel connected and supported right now. This is really crucial. All right, and the next part here, getting into big emotions. So you may feel like you're on a roller coaster of emotions right now. I know I am feeling that too. There's anger sometimes. There's deep sadness where I'll just cry out of the blue, just feeling the weight of the world, literally the weight of what's happening to everyone out there. Like I can just feel it in my heart sometimes. Frustration with my kids being in the house all the time and constant noise. There's just so much right now. So, and even, on the best days of motherhood, there can be a lot of feelings because this is a hard job we're doing, but things are extra intense right now. So this is something really important to talk about and take steps towards. So when you have a big emotion coming up, what do you do? So this is something that a lot of people aren't aware of, and it's really common if you notice the anger coming up and you may be like, no, I don't want to feel that, and you kind of stuff it down, right? A lot of people do that, or like comes out sideways at your partner or your kids, and you find yourself snapping at them. So that's what we want to avoid, okay? Because that is not healthy ways to deal with our emotions. So processing our emotions in a healthy way. So these are the basic steps. Notice what you feel in your body, okay? So practice taking some deep breaths anytime and going into your body. And often the sensations will be connected to emotions. So I notice in my body there's like a tense sensation usually around my solar plexus when I'm feeling angry. When I feel sadness, I often feel it in my heart. Okay, so it might be the same for you, it might be different, but just notice and connect those sensations in your body to your feelings. Okay. Second step, accept your emotions. So again, don't push them away. Emotions are not bad. They're all healthy, part of our human experience. It's just a matter of how we deal with them and express them, okay? So if you notice that anger and frustration coming up, tell yourself, you can actually consciously say this to yourself, it's okay to feel angry. I'm okay in my anger, okay? Let it be there. Allow your emotions to be there. Give them space in your body. Let yourself feel. All right. And now once you've done that, the next step is to express them in a healthy way. So if you have, kind of like just a little trigger, maybe just like a hint of frustration coming up, sometimes the first 3 steps are enough, and it will allow your emotions to move through you, because this is what emotions do, right? They don't get stuck unless we push them away. But if it's a bigger trigger, like you're just full of anger and frustration, or just, you're really upset and you're crying, or whatever the case is, you may need to take some time to express. All right. So big expressions are best done away from your kids. But that said, it's perfectly okay to show your children your feelings, because by doing this, they will learn that it's okay to feel our feelings. It's okay to have big upset and emotions. It's okay to cry. All right, so it's perfectly all right to cry in front of your children. But what's important here is to let them know that you're okay, that you've got this. Like you can say something like, Mommy's feeling really sad right now, and I just feel like I need to cry to let it out, but I'm okay. Okay, because we don't want our children to worry about us, like that we're, in a state that we can't control. We want them to trust that we've got this. All right, so moving back. But if you're doing a big emotional release, which I highly recommend doing, especially right now on a pretty regular basis, to just like let things out, that I suggest doing away from your kids. So when you have a few minutes to yourself, and sometimes right now I do this before I'm going to bed, because it's the only like decent stretch of time I have. My kids are sleeping, everything's quiet, and I'll do an emotional release to just let things out. So there's various different ways you can do this. Having a big cry is wonderful. Like I think most of us have experienced the release and the relief we feel after we've let things out through having a big cry. Journaling is a great tool. I use this one really regularly. You can do just like release writing, where you put your pen on the page and just keep writing and expressing whatever is in there, just letting it out. You can swear, you can, write in big capital letters, just like releasing it through writing is really cathartic. And in the middle of that, if you're, you can be crying, you can be like shaking your fists if you're angry, like make it a physical emotional release. And that's really powerful, because our emotions are stored in our bodies. So when we get physical releasing them, it's helpful. Another thing, now not everyone is is comfortable with this one, but if this intrigues you, it's really powerful. So an adult temper tantrum. So just like our 3-year-olds do, uh, you know, we yell, we scream, we shake our fists, we punch our beds, letting it out. So this is, you know, it's, of course, it's tough when we're dealing with a 2 or 3-year-old that's doing this, but it's actually a really healthy thing that their body's doing to release those emotions. And the more we do it ourselves, the more comfortable we get holding space for our toddlers to do that. So it's kind of win-win that way. And it really releases the emotions from our bodies. If you have the space to make a lot of noise when you're doing this, great. But I recognize that that's difficult, especially right now, when most kids are at home all the time. So you can even do like a silent release. Like I've done this before where I just go, and no noise is actually coming out. And of course, again, we're doing this away from our kids, not in front of them. But it releases some of the energy from our bodies. You can scream into a pillow. You can hit your bed or a couch with a cushion. If you happen to have a pool noodle around, that's a really great tool to use too, and just gets that angry energy out. So whatever feels right for you to do, if this tool appeals to you, just let your body let it out. All right. And then of course, you know, if you feel more drawn to talking to someone about how you're feeling, that's really great too. So share how you're feeling with a friend, with your partner, family, or a counselor or therapist. So, but it's important to allow these feelings to come out, to give them that release. And emotions as messengers. I love my little eggs with feelings here. So emotions are trying to tell us something. They're not just a nuisance. They actually have messages for us. So what is the wisdom underneath our emotions? Does something need to change in your life? What do you really need in this moment? So often, for example, I find when I have a lot of frustration coming up, when I'm with my kids, it's a message that I need a break. I need some space for myself. And you know, when I'm feeling really overwhelmed, what my body is telling me is that, you know, I need to slow down, take a few deep breaths, sit down for a while. You know, I don't need to be doing everything at once. So this is really individual, and it takes some self-awareness. Okay, so meditation is a great tool. If you just don't know what's going on inside of you, you know, even doing like a few minutes, just sitting with your body, sitting with your breath, it doesn't have to be fancy or complicated. This will help with self-awareness and actually, you know, recognizing what's going on inside of you, what you're feeling, what you need. And there are no bad emotions. I mentioned this already. All emotions, even anger, the one that's supposedly bad and toxic, they are all part of our human experience. Allow yourself to ride the waves of your emotions. And it's resisting emotions when we repress or suppress our emotions. We push them down inside of us, telling ourselves it's not okay to feel that way right now. This is what keeps them stuck. Okay. And they don't actually go away when we do this. They often will come out sideways, affecting relationships. So this is where you're snapping at your kids or your partner. And this can contribute to mental and physical health issues. Okay, so this is big. Depression, literally depression. We're depressing our emotions. We're not allowing ourselves to fully feel them. So often, if we are able to let ourselves feel and to express our emotions in a healthy way, i.e., not at somebody, then it will be a relief. We'll be able to actually relieve our depression by doing that. So with kindness and compassion, let yourself feel, all right? That's important. when we're feeling, if we have big emotions coming up, especially the ones that are considered unacceptable, like anger, even sadness sometimes, bring compassion to yourself in the middle of feeling. Like, I'm okay right now. I'm okay when I'm feeling angry. I'm okay when I'm feeling sad or upset or whatever it is. Be kind to yourself. Watch yourself talk. So this is another really big one for mental health. So most of us, regardless of whether we've experienced mental health issues or not, when we really become aware, we're pretty hard on ourselves in our heads, harder than most other people in the world would be talking to us. Right? So become aware of that. And if you do have mental health issues, this will often be compounded. Like, we will be incredibly hard on ourselves in our heads. And the first step is just to become aware of that. Like, you might not even realize you're doing that. And once you're aware of that, you can actively change that, actively bring in what is true. And even if you don't believe it 100% yet, telling yourself kind things like, I am doing my best. My kids are home and I'm working full time and my husband is driving me crazy and I am doing my best. This is a hard situation. And I'm taking steps to take care of myself in the middle of it. Things like that. Whatever. You can imagine talking to your own child when you're talking to yourself. Now, of course, we all have moments with our children where we don't speak to them as kindly as we would like. But when we're at our best, when we're embodying, our kind, compassionate mother, how do we talk to our children? And then turn that to yourself. Speak to yourself with loving kindness, because you're worthy of that. So managing your emotions in a healthy way is modeling emotional health to your children. They will pick up on this. They will feel and see how you were dealing with your emotions, whether your emotions are coming out sideways or whether you're expressing them in a healthy way, and you can get back to them with some calm and presence. Most of us are aware of this. Our children are always listening. Our children can feel when something isn't right. So looking after you is always the first step. Okay. And this is empowering, right? We have the power, we have the control to take these steps, to get help, to get support, to manage our emotional health. All right, so giving your children the best possible start with their mental health. So amazingly, this is very similar to what I'm suggesting you do for yourself. So creating community and support for them, so they know that they have that interdependence, that there's lots of different people in their lives that they can rely on, that they can turn to, who will love them and care about them beyond you, or even just you and your partner. And again, we're in a unique time where that's harder, but turn to the online world for that. My 7-year-old son is very social. And so right now, I'm organizing pretty much daily online virtual play dates for him with a different friend every day, with family members. So even at this time where, he's home most of the time, he still has that social time, and he still knows that there's all these people out there that care about him and that are a part of his community. So get creative with that. And model healthy emotional expression. So this is what I was just talking about over the last few minutes, doing your own work, letting yourself feel your feelings, processing your emotions, releasing them in healthy ways, being kind to yourself. So all of that modeling in will come across to your children in your energy, in how you're speaking about yourself, how you're speaking to them, how you're speaking about other people. Okay, so it's super important to be doing your own work. Okay, and I don't want to overwhelm you with that, because I know it's a really overwhelming time for moms right now, for everybody right now. But even just taking a few simple steps and, you know, having that as a goal to move in the direction of taking care of your emotions and taking care of yourself can be huge. And with your children, holding space for and accepting their emotions. And this is a really hard one for many of us, especially if we weren't modeled this as children. And the truth is, most of us weren't. So when your child is expressing whatever kind of emotion, they're having a tantrum or they're feeling really anxious about what's going on in the world today, just being there with them. You don't need to fix it. You know, sometimes it's nice to give some suggestions or, you know, let them know what reality is if they're not quite in touch with what is true. But you don't need to jump in right away with that. The most important thing is to sit with them, let them know you're there, hear them, do your best to understand what they're saying. Is huge, and we'll teach them that it's okay to feel. There's space for their feelings. They will learn that they don't need to stuff them away like many of us have learned. So it's giving them the best possible start for their own emotional health by doing that. And you can let them know too, it's okay to feel angry. Everyone feels angry sometimes. It's normal to feel sad. It's normal to feel disappointed, whatever it is. All right, and the final thing I'm going to talk about today, everyday tools for mental wellness. So again, I don't want to overwhelm you with too many things. What I suggest you do is choose one or two that really stand out for you, write them down in your journal, and make that a goal to work on right now. So I highly recommend everything Laurel was talking about today in terms of diet, nutrition, stress reduction. Like I said, it made a huge, huge difference in my own healing. And I rarely get symptoms of anxiety and depression anymore. Occasionally anxiety, but I've got tools to work with that. But it makes an incredible difference. Self-care. I didn't talk about this a lot today, but Laurel and I have a whole other workshop on our websites just on self-care, and that can be really, really helpful for mental wellness as well. Self-compassion, being gentle with yourself, watching yourself talk, being kind to yourself like you would your child when you're at your best. Being part of something greater than yourself, a hobby, career, interest, and again, strange times right now, so this isn't as easy as it always is. But in whatever way, keeping up with your hobby, or your career as much as possible, or if you don't have that right now, remembering the value of being a parent. We're doing a damn important job raising the next generation. So value that, recognize that, tell yourself, this is important. I'm doing my best. It's hard, and it's really important what I'm doing right now. Time in nature. If you're able to get out in nature right now, going for hikes, for walks, nature is incredibly healing. Fresh air, exercise can really benefit your mental and emotional well-being. And connections, community, I talked about that already, even virtually, makes a huge difference. Getting into your body. So often when we're dealing with mental health issues, you may notice you're in your head a lot, and you might even be completely disconnected from what's going on from your neck down. And that is the area where all your feelings are. So it's important to get into your body. And there's lots of different ways you can do that, whatever appeals to you. Exercise is great. Going for a run, going to the gym, not right now, of course, but at other times. Meditation is wonderful to move your awareness into your body. Yoga, dance. There's lots of online yoga classes and dance classes and things like that right now. Take advantage of that. And spiritual connection, whatever that means to you. So, however you're feeling drawn to practicing that, could be meditation, prayer, spiritual reading, or community. Even getting outside is a way that some people connect with their spiritual side. Daily routine, especially right now, that has made a huge difference for my family. Going through this difficult period, having a routine that we do every weekday. Now, I'm not suggesting schedule because that can feel like too constraining, but just a rough routine of, we get up, we have breakfast, the kids have some playtime, and then we go outside. And then we have lunch, and then more playtime, and then we go outside again. So it's a really like rough, loose routine, but it helps our minds feel calm to know that there's, know kind of what is coming next, rather than having this huge expansive day in front of us and we don't know what we're going to be doing. And that's kind of when we end up, sitting in front of the TV a lot, or going online a lot and just scrolling through things when there isn't a routine set up. So that can really make a difference to mental health. And gratitude. So Laurel was talking about those feel-good neurotransmitters. And there have been studies that have shown that practicing gratitude on a regular basis actually boosts those feel-good neurotransmitters in our brains and helps us feel better. And this can make a huge difference to mental health. So some people like to keep a gratitude journal, just jotting down a few things you're grateful for every day, or just bring it into your day-to-day life and make a conscious effort to notice what you're grateful for. My family likes to talk about that at dinner. Everyone goes around and just says one thing that they're grateful for, and just notice how that affects how you feel when you shift your mental state from negative to positive by noticing what you do have and what you're grateful for. So again, don't overwhelm yourself with too many new things. Choose one or two from this list that resonate for you and make a point of practicing them. Okay, and if you are needing more support, I am happy to be here for you. There's my website, blossomingmothercounseling.com, email address. I'm on Instagram. I offer counseling for individuals and couples. Right now, I'm working on this amazing comprehensive group program for mothers, which will include a support group, individual counseling, as well as information and tools to help you on your motherhood journey. And of course, workshops that Laurel and I do together, both online and in person when we're able to do that. So reach out if you're needing support. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our workshop. Thank you so much for being here through this. I really hope it was helpful for you, gives you some concrete tools as well as general information that hopefully will make a difference to your mental health, because you are important. You are worthy of feeling good, and this benefits you. And of course, it benefits your children as well when you're feeling good.
Thanks, Catherine. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. And don't forget to reach out if you have any questions or want to book an appointment with either of us. Have a great day.
Take care. Bye.